Hello, I'm Mark Hall Patton. I'm the administrator of the Clark County Museum System, and I want to welcome you and invite you to our newest exhibit, Domestic Technology Making Housework Easier. This is an exhibit that's looking at the changes in the kinds of gadgets that we use in our homes. You can see behind me one of our settings, everything from a washing machine with a built-in maul to your very first type of portable dishwasher. And of course, like everybody did in the 1950s and 1960s, Our Lady of the House is dressed up with heels and pearls on. Part of what we're showing are changes in advertising, how we sold what was needed for the home. And you can see here changes in the way that we sold refrigerators. Refrigerators were something new in the 20th century. The whole idea that using electricity, you could have a freezer compartment, you could have a storage compartment that would keep foods cold. This was something that was quite expensive and had to be sold to the public. One area that we don't tend to think about a lot of change in is toasters. When you look here, you had toasters which originally just sat on the stove and you just put a piece of bread on the side. Then you would have to take the bread, turn it over to get both sides toasted. To the early model electric up here on top, again, you had to take the bread out and turn it over if you wanted it toasted on both sides. Even to the early enclosed model, you had to do that. It was quite a change when you could actually drop the toast down inside and get both sides toasted at the same time. Many recipes call for mixing ingredients, and you had to have different ways of mixing them. Some things, however, haven't changed much. A whisk is still very much the same today as it has been for 100 years. Mixers or beaters have changed quite a bit. You can see some of the early 50s and 60s mixers and later ones here, just to give you an idea of how things have changed over the years. And then, of course, we have different ways of getting ice. I don't know, today most of us remember ice trays, but a lot of times we don't even use those today. Most of the 20th century we didn't have clothing that would keep its creases, keep smooth after it was washed, so you had to use an iron. And electric irons were quite an improvement in the early days. And we show how irons have changed over the years. And of course, if you were ironing, you had to have water to sprinkle on the clothes, so we have our water bottle in there. All of these are the kinds of devices that were created specifically to sell through television. And so we're showing that as part of this exhibit, looking at how all of this has changed in our lives, and we tend to forget just how quickly it's changed. Many of us can remember these devices, and many of our kids today don't know them. Sweeping has always been part of keeping the house clean, but when we got into vacuum cleaners, things changed. Now, the earliest vacuum cleaners weren't these electric ones, though these are fairly early. The earliest were actually hand-pumped. This is an early national hand-pumped vacuum cleaner. The handle at the top would be held and you would pump it up and down in order to have the suction working to pick up what was on the ground. But one of the things we might forget is that when the Kirby came out, those were sold door to door. So you had to have the vacuum cleaner salesman who would show up and sell often the lady of the house, but not always, the newest model, and you could buy it on time and have just what you needed to free you up from all that drudgery. Domestic Technology Making Housework Easier opens on November 19th. It's running through January, and it's open 7 days a week, 9 to 4:30 at the Clark County Museum. It's $1.50 for adults and $1 for children. We hope you'll come down and see a few of the memories of how we have changed our ways of doing domestic technology.